Jeff Ruland was one of the more unique centers in the league during his prime. After dominating at Iona, he was traded to the Bullets on draft day in 1980, but he decided to play overseas since he felt he wouldn't get a lot of minutes. Once he returned, he showed his unusual skill set, with great mobility and an advanced handle for his size, as he would often lead the break once he got the defensive rebound. He had extremely soft hands and he could score inside, while also having a consistent mid-range shot and the strength to hold his own defensively. But the most underrated part of his game was his passing, as he could spot a cutter or throw a dime on the break. He formed a front-court duo with Rick Mahorn that would be called the Beef Brothers due to their size and physicality. Jeff finally got a chance to start in 1982, as he would make 2 straight All-Star games and prove to be one of the more promising young players in the league. But unfortunately, a laundry list of injuries will halt his momentum, as he would retire prematurely in 1987. After 4 years away from the game, he came back in 1991, but an incident involving a luggage cart would result in an Achilles injury that would sideline him again. After retiring for good in 1993, he would enter the coaching ranks and had some success at his alma mater. Jeff Ruland had a short run in the league, but he was a glimpse of what the centers in the modern NBA would be like. Welcome to PZ Hoops, and let's get down to it. Jeff was born December 16, 1958 in Bayshore, New York, where he had a great career at Sachem High School, where he became a second-team parade All-American as a senior, playing in the first ever McDonald's All-American game. Jeff was a top 5 recruit in the country, and he had his pick of the litter in terms of colleges. He visited several blue blood programs, but coach Jim Balvano recruited him heavily, so Jeff committed to Iona. His father passed away when he was young, so he wanted to stay close enough for his mother to watch him play. Jeff was the best player on the team as soon as he stepped on campus, but the Gales as a whole were weak, so they started the season 4-7. Then they went on a 5-game winning streak to get over 500. They entered the conference tournament at 11-9, but they lost their first game against St. John's. As a freshman, Jeff averaged 22 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1.5 blocks. It was pretty much the same team in 1978, as Jeff continued to dominate, dropping 30-10 against New Orleans, 37-13 against Northeastern, and 25-16 against Long Island. The Gales were much improved on defense, as they finished 18-5 going into the conference tournament. They beat Seton Hall and St. John's to win the tournament, making the big dance for the first time in school history. Jeff averaged 20 points, 11 rebounds, and a block on 67% shooting, as the Gales faced Penn in their first tournament game. Jeff had a great performance, with 19 points, 15 rebounds, and 2 steals on 60% shooting, but Iona as a team shot 39%, losing by 4. The Gales completely flipped their identity in 1979, as their defense was elite, but their offense was terrible. They started the season with an upset win over number 14 Texas A&M. Jeff dropped 30-17 against Long Beach State, 24-17 against Wichita State, 38-15 against Kansas, and 30-21 in an upset win over number 2 Louisville. The Gales started out 11-4, then they won 13 games in a row to finish the season at 24-4, being ranked for the first time in school history. Jeff averaged 20 points, 12 rebounds, and 2 blocks on 64% shooting, as he led the conference in all 3 categories. Iona beat Fairleigh Dickinson, Siena, and St. Peter's to win the conference tournament again, facing Holy Cross in their first tournament game. Jeff had 16 points and 9 rebounds as the Gales won by 6. In the game against Sleepy Floyd in Georgetown, Jeff dropped 16 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists, but he committed 7 turnovers as Iona lost by 3. Not that Jim Balvano was even for NC State. Jeff was considering his next move. He would sign with an agent after his junior season, but because of this, the NCAA ruled him ineligible to play as a senior. Now that he couldn't play college ball anymore, Jeff declared for the 1980 NBA draft, being selected with the 25th pick by Golden State, but he would be traded to the Bullets on draft night. However, Washington was crowded in the front court with Wes Unseld, Elvin Hayes, Rick Mahorn, and Mitch Kupchak. Jeff didn't see a route to playing time, so he decided to head overseas, playing for FC Barcelona. Even though he averaged 21 points and 11 rebounds, winning the Copa del Rey and Liga ACB championship, he later said that he really didn't enjoy his time in Europe, as he would leave the team before the season ended. Upon his return to the Bullets in 1981, Wes Unseld had retired and Elvin Hayes had been traded back to Houston, so there was a backup spot behind Spencer Haywood. Jeff was coming along slowly, but he was showing some promise, dropping 23 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 blocks on November 24th against Golden State, along with 21 points, 19 rebounds, and 3 assists on January 2nd against Indiana. He was contributing in multiple ways, scoring 20 points 19 times, grabbing double-digit rebounds in 40 games, and dishing at least 5 assists in 6 games. He finished 13th in rebounding, 10th in field goal percentage, and 10th in defensive rating. The Bullets were balanced offensively, with 7 different players averaging double figures, as they finished 43 and 39. Jeff averaged 14 points, 9.5 rebounds, and 1.5 assists, as the Bullets faced the Nets in the first round. In his first playoff game, Jeff dropped 18 points and 20 rebounds as the Bullets won. He put up 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 steals in Game 2 to complete the sweep. Washington faced the Celtics in the semifinals, as Jeff put up 19 points and 10 rebounds in Game 2, their only win of the series. He dropped 33 points and 13 rebounds in Game 5, but the Bullets lost in double overtime and were eliminated. Jeff got more opportunities in his second year, and his play would greatly improve. On November 3rd against New Jersey, he dropped 21 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and 3 blocks off the bench. He had a week in February where he dropped 3 straight 30-point double-doubles. Jeff finished 8th in rebounds and 10th in field goal percentage, but Gene Shue allowed him to handle the ball and run the offense, but as a result, he finished 5th in the league in turnovers. Jeff led the team in scoring and finished 12th in MVP voting. Greg Ballard had a solid season, and Rick Mahorn joined Jeff in the frontcourt, with the duo being called the Beef Brothers. But the Bullets had a lot of injuries, as Haywood, Ricky Sobers, Kevin Porter, and Kevin Greavy all missed significant time. However, their second-ranked defense led them to a 42-40 record, but they missed the playoffs by 1 game. Jeff averaged 19 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, and a block. The Bullets drafted Darren Day and Jeff Malone in 1983, as Jeff Ruland would be the full-time starter at the 5, and he would show the league his entire skill set. In the season opener, he dropped 23 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals on 10 of 11 shooting. He dropped a career-high 38 points, 16 rebounds, and 3 assists on 16 of 20 shooting on November 25th against Detroit. Jeff recorded his first career triple-double on February 10th and dropped another one on April 3rd. He earned his first All-Star appearance as he was a top 15 scorer, 3rd in rebounds, 6th in field goal percentage, 5th in free throws made, and 1st in minutes. But outside of him, the Bullets just couldn't do anything right, as they had a 9-game losing streak in January and a 6-game skid at the end of March. Their 35-47 record was enough for the last playoff spot. Jeff's career year saw him average 22 points, 12.5 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, and a block. The Bullets faced an uphill battle in the first round against the Celtics, but Jeff came to play in Game 1, dropping 17 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 assists, but this was in a losing effort. He was 2 assists shy of another triple-double in Game 2, but the Celtics won again. He dropped 33 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 assists in the Game 3 overtime win to help the Bullets get on the board. He had 30, 15, and 8 in Game 4, but the Celtics won by 3 to eliminate the Bullets. Washington acquired Gus Williams and Treetop Robinson as Jeff Malone improved drastically in year 2. Jeff Ruland was moved back to the center, but he continued his production, dropping 31 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists in the second game of the season. He dropped another triple-double on November 16th against the Knicks, but on February 1st, Jeff would break his foot and miss the rest of the season. He was still voted an All-Star, but Gus and Jeff Malone would pick up the scoring in his absence, as the Bullets' 40-42 record was still enough to make the playoffs. In his shortened season, Jeff averaged 19 points, 11 rebounds, and 4.5 assists on 57% shooting. He was far from 100% healthy for the first round series against Philly, but he played through the pain and still put up numbers. He dropped 25 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists in Game 3, but this was their only win of the series, as they were eliminated in 4. The Bullets drafted 7'7" Manute Bol and veteran Dan Roundfield as insurance. Both signings came in handy, with Jeff's feet continuing to cause him tremendous pain, as he was only available for 30 games. But in the limited time he was on the court, he was going off, dropping 30 points, 17 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 blocks against Boston on November 15th. He also had a 3-game span where he averaged a triple-double with 3 blocks. The other Jeff had turned into one of the better scorers in the league, making his first All-Star game, while Manute led the league in blocks, making the second team All-Defense and finishing as a runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year. Washington finished 39-43, making the playoffs again. Jeff averaged 19 points, 11 rebounds, and 5.5 assists. He fought through the pain to play in the first round rematch with Philly, but he was only available for 2 games, as Washington lost in 5. After only playing 67 games in the last 2 seasons, the Bulls decided to move on from their promising big man. The Sixers had fallen hard after their title just 2 years ago, so as a rebuilding team, they looked to move Moses Malone. They sent him to the Bullets for Jeff, Terry Catledge, and a first-round pick. After seeing him in the playoffs the last 2 years, Philly was now counting on him to be their starting center of the future. Jeff dropped 12 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists in the Sixers' debut. His knees were bothering him, and he wouldn't play again for 2 months, but he would have his best game as a Sixer on January 14th, where he dropped 19 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 blocks, making his first 7 shots but these would be 2 out of only 5 games he played before being shut down for the season with knee issues. In the offseason, he prematurely retired at the age of 28. A potential frontcourt pairing with Charles Barkley just wasn't meant to be. After 4 years away from the game, Jeff returned to the Sixers in 1991. He was slowly working his way back into the rotation, but on January 17th against the Celtics, a Boston Garden employee pushed a luggage cart into his leg, severely damaging his Achilles. A week later against Minnesota, he could only play 3 minutes in the first half before his Achilles partially tore. Jeff came back after a month, dropping 4 points, 10 rebounds, and a block on March 4th, but he appeared in only 13 games this year. Jeff would later allege that the employee intentionally ran into him, but his lawsuit against the Celtics was unsuccessful. The Sixers released Jeff early into 1992 as he signed with the Pistons in December, playing limited minutes in 11 games before calling it a career for good after the season. Jeff would have a long career in coaching, even leading his alma mater Iona to 3 NCAA tournament berths from 1999 to 2007. Unfortunately, he was sent an email about his firing while he was on a cruise. Jeff would later coach in the D-League, was also an assistant for the Sixers, and also coached the University of the District of Columbia. In 2015, he was hired as a talent scout for the Wizards, a position he still holds today. Jeff Ruland was supposed to be the next great Washington big man after Unsound Hayes, as he was clearly on his way to stardom. He could score inside and outside, crash the glass, and he had the unique ability to handle the ball and run the offense, something practically unheard of amongst big men at the time. Unfortunately, his body couldn't hold up, and his career was cut short, with him only having 3 relatively healthy seasons. All in all, Jeff underwent 8 surgeries on his left knee, surgery on both shoulders, his left elbow, and right Achilles. But even though his run was short, Jeff was the first player of his kind before the likes of Arvydas Sabonis and Nikola Jokic came to the league, as he was well on his way to a Hall of Fame career before the injuries. Thank you guys, I really appreciate y'all for watching these videos. I had rarely heard of Jeff Ruland because I was looking at Manute Bol and I seen who's this dude averaging like 22 and 12 that I've never heard of on the Bullets. He's taking the rebound and he's pushing the ball down the court, like he's going full speed down the court. And this dude is fast. Like, why is he so fast for a big man? Like, he's taking the ball down super fast and he's throwing dimes. He's always in the right spot for a rebound. Like, he had really good hands. He could catch all these passes because his teammates were doing some terrible entry passes. But he was catching them. Like, he could catch errant balls. Like, he could do a lot, man. It's just his body could never hold up. But, it's just unfortunate. Looking at the highlights, this dude was cold. I looked a little bit more into the luggage cart situation. Basically, the ruling was, we don't know whether the person who ran the luggage cart into your leg had cruel intent. We don't know if it was negligence. We don't think he had cruel intent. And also, like, you've had a history of injuries, so maybe this could have been from something else, not just from the cart hitting your leg. It could have been from something else because you have an injury history. I feel like that's kind of bogus. Like, I can understand, like, okay, you don't know whether this guy has cruel intent. Saying that, you have an injury history already. Like, that's just cold. Jeff Ruland was a beast, man. He just kept getting injured, man, but he was a beast when he was able to play. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate y'all. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. Turn on my post notifications if you haven't already. Please be safe, stay on the grind. I'm out. Peace.